Okay, so let's have a little talk about Jing Yuan. First of all, this video will be split into two topics. First, I will cover the basics of Jing Yuan, my personal experiences with him in the closed beta, builds and light cones, and overall his general playstyle and how fun he is to play. Secondly, I will share my honest thoughts on Jing Yuan, what he brings to your overall teams and account, and should you pull on the banner. Now, before I start, I want to say that I'm a firm believer in the waifu over meta, especially when it comes to characters, but I also respect the people that chase the meta and enjoy the overall discussions when it comes to both the character's strengths and their weaknesses. But enough of that, let's talk about Jing Yuan and his overall playstyle. First of all, when you look at Jing Yuan's multipliers, you will see that most of his multipliers are lower than you would expect. And that is because most of his damage will come not directly from him, but from his Lightning Lord. You can look at Lightning Lord as a separated character since he will appear in the left charts during combat. Very much his stance or his Susanoo or whatever you want to call it. Jing Yuan is lightning erudition, which means that his main focus is going to be dealing damage to multiple targets, also known as an area of effect attacks, which in gaming we usually call AoE. But he is also good at single target damage, especially breaking weakness shields with the Lightning Lord. So Jing Yuan's main priority will always be to use his skill ability as much as possible, because it gives stacks to your Lightning Lord. When the combat starts, your Jing Yuan will have 3 stacks, and these 3 stacks are for your Lightning Lord. You can start the combat with 5 stacks if you use Jing Yuan's technique right before the battle. So the maximum amount of stacks you can have is 10. Using the skill, it will deal AoE damage and give you 2 stacks, and using the ultimate will give you 3 stacks. The main focus is always going to be to set up your Lightning Lord with as much stacks as possible. So for every stack, the Lightning Lord will scale more and do more damage. And he will also be faster when it comes to the combat, because for every stack he will also get 10 speed. There will also sometimes be situations where not getting him to 10 stacks and letting him do an attack with lesser stacks will be more beneficial, but it all depends on the situation you are currently in. But generally you want to have 10 stacks because it's big anga banga damage. And trust me, nothing is more satisfying than when the Lightning Lord brings down that spear and the whole screen shakes and you see numbers pop everywhere. Also keep in mind that every time the Lightning Lord attacks, he will use all the stacks that you have and reset back to 3 stacks again. A few tips here and that people need to be careful of, and something I personally experienced on multiple occasions, is that when Jing Yuan is stunned, which means frozen, imprisoned, controlled, so pretty much stunned and you can't play him, the Lightning Lord will not attack. So you will sometimes encounter frustrating situations where the boss stuns your Jing Yuan right before the Lightning Lord attacks, and that is the worst case scenario. Since the Lightning Lord will get his attack and turn delayed and you lose a lot of your damage output, especially in that critical moment that you probably needed that damage. So always have a fast dispel at hand or pray to RNGesus for your Jing Yuan not to get stunned. When it comes to his light cones, his signature light cone is obviously the strongest one, but if you get him, you can still easily build him on a budget, where you can either use the Battle Pass erudition light cone for good damage, since Jing Yuan scales better than most characters with that light cone, since he requires a little bit more of energy for his ultimate than other characters. I think his energy is 130 or 140. What I'm saying is he just scales way better than most characters with this particular Battle Pass light cone. But if you don't have the Battle Pass or you are like completely free to play, you can give him the serval signature Make the World Clamor, which gives him energy right at the start of the combat, and that also goes well with his trace that gives him even more energy, so you can pump out the ultimate faster and get the stacks for your Lightning Lord higher right at the start of the combat. This is my personal favorite light cone when it comes to budget light cones, and something I personally ran and had fun with in the closed beta. Overall, Jing Yuan as a character is pretty straightforward and not that complicated, but you can do some pretty nasty setups when it comes to his Lightning Lord attacks, which is pretty fun. And overall his animations look pretty good. So here we are on the second part of the video. Should you pull on the Jing Yuan's banner? So Jing Yuan's banner will have both Tingyun and Su Shang, so if you are interested in those characters, I would definitely recommend pulling on the banner. First of all, Tingyun is an amazing support that pairs really well with any team, especially especially characters that rely on their ultimates, so she already goes really well with Jing Yuan, with her ultimate that gives flat 50 energy and a huge damage boost. Overall, more energy, which pretty much means Jing Yuan can cast more ultimates during battle and get more stacks for the Lightning Lord. Even if you don't want Jing Yuan on your team or your account, I would still recommend to do a few pulls in order to either get Tingyun or Su Shang, which is another great 4-star character. I've also seen that many of you asked me a couple of times if I'm going to pull on the banner, and the short answer is no. And here are my reasons. First of all, the lightning element is already competitive and saturated when compared to the rest of the elements. Secondly, I already have Tingyun, but if I didn't, I would personally do a few pulls just for her or Su Shang. Lastly, if you have Serval, and if you already built Serval, I don't think that Jing Yuan is mandatory, since I personally have put a lot of my investments into Serval, and they pretty much do the same thing when it comes to both element and their archetype, which is erudition. However, if you neglected your Serval, or you don't like her as a character, or you didn't level her at all, I think you should pull, since you will then fill out that role that you need on your team, and that is having a erudition lightning character. What I'm saying is that Jing Yuan is a stronger Serval, so if you don't have her built, I would personally go for Jing Yuan to fill that role for your team and account. At the end of the day, I will always say that if you like the character's personality, story, design, and the overall gameplay of the character, you should always go for it and not be a slave to tier lists, to DPS tier lists and the meta. But if you are one of the people that follow the meta, you probably already know that Jing Yuan is both good in AoE and single target, as you can visit multiple sites and see the DPS meters and the rankings that he's at. If you want to see a more in-depth guide on how Jing Yuan generally feels in both overall combat and simulated universe, I already made a video during closed beta and it's on my channel, so you can go and just check it out. Overall, I hope that some of my personal thoughts on Jing Yuan helped some of you out, and that is pretty much what I wanted this video to be. But yeah, in the end, I would really appreciate it if you guys subscribed to help me out even more and make the channel grow. But yeah, good luck on the Jing Yuan banner, and as always, see you all in the next video.